Hi, Heather.
Hey Mike, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. How about you?
I'm good. So what's new
Hi,
since the
hello,
last time?
audience.
Hi audience. What's new with you since the last time we had a live stream?
Well, I'm sad to say you already know this, but my dog passed on Saturday, and
So
I was
sorry.
very close to him, and I think of everyone in my family, I was the closest to him, and that's been rough.
I am so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, thanks. But what can you do? Life goes on until it doesn't.
How old was Oliver?
He was 14, which I know is not terribly old for a dog, but he was a purebred, and with purebreds just come more health issues. And I don't want to start talking about it, or I'll start crying.
Okay, so
He
we
had a
won't talk
whole
about it.
host of health issues, and to be honest, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did.
Oh, I'm giving you a hug. And
Thank
the
you.
audience is saying they're sorry for your loss too.
Yeah, thanks, audience. But in other news, I just before he passed, I came back from a trip to Mexico. In fact, I think that he waited for me to get back. Um, but yeah, let me show you some pictures from my trip to Mexico.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so remind me how to do that.
Click present and
Okay.
then click what screen you want to share, and then it will come up and I'll put it up here. And if you guys are watching, if you have any questions from Mike, please put it in the chat and we will get to your questions in the order that they are received. Um, and let us know how your week has been. Hopefully, everybody is safe because of that crazy winter storm going on in the US right now. Hopefully, everybody has the internet. I know our internet got knocked off for a good long time because of the winter storm. How about you?
The
Oh,
weather
got
here
it.
is fine. Okay, what do you see?
Um, I see a screen that is not pictures.
Hmm. Let's try stop and then start again.
Pro Crap says that the weather here in Seattle was brutal. An ice storm was up our way yesterday. Oregon got it bad as well. Yeah, I think the whole US got it bad. I've seen some stuff on Instagram and TikTok that it's just mind blowing. Got it. Okay, we
Okay,
got a folder with pictures, but we're
okay.
not seeing the large picture. We're only seeing the folder.
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Jason says he's sorry for your loss too.
Thanks, Jason.
Click on the picture, open up the picture, and then when you click what you want to present, you should be able to see just the picture. And then we could put up just the picture instead of the folder.
That's what I did. Maybe if I stop the screen and then share
Try
the
that.
screen. Okay. That. Share screen. And then I know I'm going to forget this, but at this point, I click on window and then share a window.
We got it. We
Okay.
have the pictures up.
Okay, so this trip started with a whole day in Mexico City. So my hotel was close to the what's it called, the Reforma, which is like a very major street in Mexico City. And Mexico City has a lot of big traffic circles with what's called a glorieta in the middle, which is basically like a big pillar with a statue on top. So this is behind me is Glorieta of the Angel, which is probably the most famous one in Mexico City. It used to be on their license plates. And okay, that's just another picture of the same thing. And this building behind me on the right side, not the Sheraton, but kind of like a nondescript white building that looks like it's about 5 stories high. That's the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. And there was a lot of security. I think a guard was following me. But I got far enough. There were a lot of signs that said no pictures, but I felt I was far enough away to take this one. Usually, U.S. embassies are in really nice buildings in nice parts of town, and this is a nice part of town, but it's a very boring building. Okay, this is the monument to mothers. That's a park near my hotel. And this is a monument to, I think, the soldiers that fought in the War of Independence against Spain. And this is the oldest park in Mexico, and it had a lot of fountains in it. This is a monument to Beethoven. And this is the Palace of Fine Arts. This is a really opulent building. Mexico is ruled by a dictator named, I think it was Porfirio Diaz, for like 40 years. And this man did a lot of good things for Mexico in terms of modernizing it and connecting it to the rest of the world. But he also wasted a lot of taxpayer money on really opulent buildings like this. And yeah, let's just keep going. This is the oldest church in North America, which is falling over because this section of Mexico City was built on a lake, a drained lake, and the ground is shifting under all this weight of the buildings on it. And behind me is a site of an old Aztec pyramid that they used for human sacrifices. And this is the Zocalo behind me, which is the main square of Mexico City. Of the 3 times I've been to Mexico City, they fenced it off all 3 times. I don't know why I have such bad luck, but that's it. And they have a lot of, in one park, they were selling art. So the painting I'm holding here is of a mountain I climbed several years ago, the 3rd highest in Mexico. And the gentleman in the hat, he's the artist. He's holding a picture of Pico de Orizaba, which is the highest mountain in Mexico, which I will get to in a minute. So I bought the one of Orizaba. And let's go now to, so those are the Mexico City pictures. Next, let's go to Malintzin. Malintzin is the 6th highest. Can you see anything?
No, it dropped off.
All right, I'll have to reload it. Share screen, window, share.
Okay, we got it.
So this is, again, Malintzin, the 6th highest mountain in Mexico. And this is above the tree line, and it's just shortly after the sun came out, and looking down at 2 of the other people in my group. And you can kind of see the towns out there. So this is me climbing up this big rock pile, which was, the last part of this mountain. And these are kind of out of order. The hike starts in a forested area. This is Florente, another person in my team. This is me again. This is a good picture because it kind of captures the sunrise. And yeah, just a lot of pictures on this big rock pile. Yeah, sorry they're so out of order, but they come from various different sources.
They're great pictures. I love that picture with the sunset behind you.
Yeah, thanks. So we started this hike at 2 a.m. So That's me with my headlamp on. I know there's some of a dog. That's Beatrice, another person in our group. Okay, so here I am on the summit. And it was great views. You could see 3 of the other major Mexican volcanoes from up there. Pictures just don't do justice situations like this. So this is Florente, and you can see this dog below him, this white dog. This dog followed us the whole way. It's incredible. Okay, so here's me and the dog, and behind me on the left side is Mount Popocatépetl, which is the second highest mountain in Mexico, and it's currently active, so you can't climb it. In fact, we could hear it rumbling when we camped at night before getting started. And on the right side is Iztaccíhuatl, which is the third highest mountain in Mexico, which I climbed several years ago. There's that dog again. All right.
So did the dog belong to someone, or was it like a stray?
Rural Mexico is full of stray dogs. They just wander the streets like people.
Wow.
And but they're very nice. They always want a handout of food, but they're never too aggressive about it. And yeah, they're really quite friendly. Mexican dogs are so much different than American dogs, in that they almost never bark, and they take to anybody easily, where American dogs are very loyal to their own owners, but are often difficult to befriend people they don't know. All right, let's share my screen again.
Okay.
So, present, share screen, window, share. Okay, so here we are. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so that mountain in the background is Orizaba, the highest mountain in Mexico. It took a long time to drive between these 2 mountains, including just a horrendous 3-hour drive on a really rough road to get to this highest peak. And this is like the last small town that you saw, where we rented a more sturdy vehicle for this rough road. This is a typical like central square park in Mexico. It seems like every small town in Mexico has one. And this is the car that we spent most of the trip in, but we had to switch to a different one, like I said, for this rough road. So this red line here shows the normal route up this volcano, and you can see how it's icy only at the top half. These are the various eruptions it's had. This was all our gear, most of it being mine. All right, so this is the truck we rented to get the rest of the way. Okay, so here I am. So we arrived, I don't know, like at 3 p.m. And you can see the highest mountain behind me, the one covered in ice. And we spent the night at this hut. There were a lot of crosses around here, I guess, of people who died trying to do this mountain. You can see the hut kind of on the right side here. And I won't bother you with the videos, but I've made a lot of videos that I'm planning to string together into a YouTube video. Okay, so about here is about the highest photo taken of me. The air was really thin. This mountain has an altitude of 18,500 feet. To put that in comparison, the highest in the continental US is about 14.5, and there is a big difference between 14.5 and 18.5 in terms of the content of oxygen. And yeah, at this point, try to make a long story short, I made it probably 80% of the way between where I am now and the summit, but then I stopped and I put the gloves that you see or the mittens on a rock to do something, and they slid all the way down, and and it was really cold. And somebody else, by this time, there were only four people left in the group. The original four, the group started as the original four from Malintzin plus two guides. So at this point, it was two guides, me and Florente. And Florente kindly loaned me his gloves. He's in better shape than me, and he's this stocky, tough Mexican guy who could take it, unlike a gringo like me. But I felt badly. I was already slowing him down as, shall we say, the weakest link at this point. So at this point, I made the decision to go down to minimize the minimize the time. My hands, his gloves were not very thick, and he's much shorter than me, and they didn't fit properly. So for a combination of reasons, I descended, being really quite close to the top. Maybe it wasn't the right. Maybe who knows what would have happened if I had gone on. I'm sure I would have made it, but that's what happened. After this point, no further pictures were taken because the air was just so thin, and taking pictures was the last thing on my mind. I was just really focused on climbing. But yeah, so I probably will put together a YouTube video on that soon.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Thanks.
Is that the highest you've ever climbed?
Yep. Even though I didn't make the
Wow.
summit, it's still the highest I've ever been. So like I said, the summit is at about 18.5, and I probably made it to about 18.3. So it definitely sets a new altitude record for me.
That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very cool. Are you going to try again, or do you think like you're good with that mountain?
Probably not. I turned 59 this year, and that mountain was tough. It was steep, icy, but it was mainly the altitude, and I could have, to be honest, I could have died on that mountain because I had to descend by myself, and it was steep, and in places the ice was just as hard as plastic, and I could not shove my ice axe into it. But I managed to kind of traverse in those situations and find something that was safe, and yeah, it's these kind of things are a young person's game. I'm not going to say I'm not going to, I'm going to completely retire from adventures, but unless a really, really good opportunity is handed to me on a silver platter, probably not. I'm not going to take the initiative to put this trip together as I did with this particular trip. It all started. So like I said, several years ago, I did the third highest mountain, Iztaccíhuatl, and I was supposed to do Orizaba that trip, but I got sick. And yeah, I think that I kind of had a vision up on that mountain that it's time to slow down a bit.
That's really impressive. I've seen you climb or I've seen you do stuff that 30-year-olds can't do. Like,
thank you.
Super impressive.
Yeah, to be honest, I will put myself against the average 30-year-old any day, but a 30-year-old in elite shape will outdo me any day. So
in elite shape.
yeah.
That's really impressive.
Well, I think I think I'm in about like the top 2% for my age, but that's probably going to be equal to about someone who's in the top 10% at 30.
Even Pro Crap says that's impressive.
Thank you. All right, why don't we get on with the show? But at around 3:40, remind me, and I'm going to show you guys a magic trick.
Yay, I'm so excited you brought the magic trick back.
Yep.
Okay,
so hit me with a question.
Our first question comes from Paul, who says, how long of a streak of same dice rolls or other unlikely streaks of events need to occur before you think something's not right?
I don't have a specific number. I I have never seen anything that to me made me think that there was something fishy going on, except at internet casinos. For example, for years there was some guy at my forum who said he witnessed 18 rolls of a total of 11 in a row. And that's just ridiculous. That's like buying a Powerball and a Mega Millions ticket and winning both of them. Things I just don't see anything like that. And lots of times when I hear of something, like when I was in Mexico City, I did the free tour. And by the way, I'm sorry about this glare on my slot machine.
You're okay.
But the tour guide said that in recent history, Mexico City had 3 big earthquakes, and they were all on September 7th. And he said, "What are the odds of that?" And when I got home, I looked this up, and I found out he was really exaggerating. Mexico City has had 2 big earthquakes on a September 7th, but one of them was not so big. And there was another big one, but it was on a different day in September. There does seem to be a little bit of a September curse with earthquakes in Mexico. But in my recent Ask the Wizard column, I analyzed this, and I figured it was still only like a one in. In fact, let me look it up. So go to my site, and then Ask the Wizard number 393, and I come to the conclusion that the probability of this, shall we say, September curse happening in any month is only about 1 in 169. So I think that when people remember incidents like things that happen in a casino, they almost always remember things incorrectly and exaggerate. So that's about the best I can do with that question. Yeah, but sorry, I really have no good stories of anything. Well, yeah, of anything like that's really like off the charts, crazy, unlikely.
The longest craps roll I ever saw went for an hour.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything that close, but I don't play that much craps.
Oh, I was a dealer, and
Yeah.
everyone was like, "This is insane."
Okay, next
Our
question.
next is from Paul. I've seen chatter online suggesting must hit buy machines really hit unless $10 away from hit buy. Thoughts on this? Is it true? If true, they are bad bets unless incredibly close.
Okay. I think it's there's one particular maker that does this. I think it's AGS, but I'm looking. I want to make sure. No, I think it's Ainsworth. No, it's not Ainsworth. Um, um, no, it's AGS. Okay. So let me go back to the original phrasing of the question. Okay, the way most makers do it is say that a jackpot starts at 250 and it must hit by at 500. That it's equally likely to hit at any place in that range. However, AGS is the exception. They deliberately gaff their machines to not hit until it's really close to the must hit by point. So, for example, if AGS has that same range, 250 to 500, it probably averages hitting at around 490. And personally, I think this is dishonest, and um, it borders on cheating, but I know they're allowed to do this. So I have very strong feelings about this. So yeah, so I frankly would just not play machines by AGS. And there may be other makers that do this, but AGS is the only one that I know of for sure.
Okay. Our next question says, can you explain the house edge versus element of risk? Does blackjack have element of risk with double downs or craps with odds bets?
Okay, the house edge is the ratio of how much you can expect to lose to the original bet. For example, if the house edge is in blackjack is 0.5% and you bet $100, that means that by the end of the hand, you can expect to lose 50 cents. The element of risk is the ratio of how much you can expect to lose compared to everything you bet. And so it's going to be a little bit less because in games like blackjack, there's supplemental wagering. And I came up with this figure for poker-based games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em, where there is a lot of supplemental wagering, including 2 required initial wagers. So that is a definition of the 2. If there is no supplemental wagering, then the 2 are the same. And so you asked about craps and odds bets. I don't like to use the term element of risk with craps, although I could. I do say on my site, what is the blended average between the craps bet and the odds bet? But I view them as separate bets as opposed to the odds being like a supplemental bet wager on top of craps, which it is. So maybe I should phrase it that way, but that is my answer to that one.
Awesome. Okay, so our next question comes from Vidiot, who says, spell the name of that new casino across from Resorts World.
Good one. And I promise I'm not going to cheat. But I am going to write it down.
Okay. I think I actually know it, so I could.
Okay, here we go. I'm just going to show you. Hopefully you can read this.
Wait, let's get a close up on this one.
It?
Yep, we could see it.
Okay, tell me. Someone tell me if I'm right.
Okay, so audience, let us know if we're right or not. It looks good to me. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think I have about a 50-50 chance. I'm pretty sure I'm right with the Blau, but and notice how I omitted the U in fountain. Fontainebleau. For some reason, the way I thought how to remember to spell it is that it's pronounced Fontainebleau. So let's see. Audience, how did I do?
Sounds good. And that thing they've been trying to build that for years and years. Yeah. I remember when they started in 2000s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have it. It's Fontainebleau.
Looks like I missed an E. Oh, shoot.
So close.
Let me show you where I missed the E. So here's the E that I missed. Darn. I hope I can get partial credit. That was a good question.
Would say so. Okay, so our next question is from Walter. And Walter says, so slot machines have a set percentage payout. Does video poker also have a set payout?
Yeah. I talk about this a lot in my book. And where is it? Slot machines and video poker. Well, slot machines are a better example. It's like roulette. In roulette, if there's 2 zeros over the long run, it's going to pay back 36 divided by 38, which is 94.74% of money bet. Much like slot machines, after you make a bet, random numbers are picked, which get mapped to symbols in the reels, and that determines how much you win. But of course, in the short run, anything can happen. And it is a common misconception that when someone says the slot machine is set to a return of 90%, that there's some kind of like a magnet in it that keeps it close to that 90%. No, it's not true. Every play is still completely independent and random, and it's the law of large numbers that causes the overall return to drift close to that theoretical average the more it's played. And it's the same with video poker, assuming optimal strategy, that the cards truly are dealt fairly and randomly, with every card having an equal chance. So that is about the best I can do with that one.
Awesome. Okay, so our next one comes from Phi. There's no way I'm pronouncing that name. Recently, I heard a massive jackpot over 1 million won in Vegas and was paid by the machine manufacturer, not the casino. How does that work, and why would they agree to do that?
I've heard that with Mega Millions, those jackpots actually are paid by IGT, the slot maker, and only like the top jackpot. And you said, how does that work? Well, I think the way it works is after it's hit, the casino calls IGT, and they have some kind of a hotline, and they say somebody just hit Mega Millions at the Mirage, and somebody will rush right down there with a check ready to write. And why do they do it that way? I think it's because a particular casino, I don't know, maybe they don't want to. I shouldn't put it that way. To be honest, I'm not sure why they do it that way, but the games are called participation games, where the risk and reward is shared between the casino and the slot maker. And why would they agree to do that? Casinos really hate risk, and they, even if you could convince them that if somebody won $30 million here, it's really not like your 30 million, because the machine is linked to casinos all over the place. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure really why they do that, but with really big jackpot games, that's what they do.
So someone has the job where they're on call all the time, and their only job is just to run to the casino to
I
write
don't
a
know if
check.
that's this person's only job. It's probably not, but IGT is a really big employer here in Las Vegas, and they're always fixing machines and taking machines out, putting new ones in. So, um, yeah, this person probably has other things to do as well.
Okay, so our next question is from Skill and Luck. A craps question. Which is better, keeping a flat don't pass bet once the point is established, or taking any amount of odds against the point? Is there a good argument for a better return of investment?
Okay, flat don't pass bet. I would take any odds against the point. I've been, as I said all the time, the best strategy in craps is to make line bets and back them up with the full odds. So that is going to be the way you maximize your return on investment.
Fantastic. Okay, we're just whipping through these questions. So if you guys have a question, please put it in the chat. Our next one comes from Jason, who says, what carnival video poker games do you like?
I don't really enjoy gambling as much as I used to be honest with you. So I never, ever play video poker just for fun. At most, like, let's say that I'm in a casino to meet somebody and I'm early. Maybe I would dink around playing video poker at a bar while I was waiting. But to me, just plain old no nonsense video poker is what I like. Maybe multiplay, but I don't like any of the gimmick games with bonuses and dream cards and multipliers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so Pro Craps says, I've attempted to climb Rainier, and that's 14.5 thousand, and it's really, really hard on the lungs.
Yeah, I have
Was
done
it,
it here.
you
So
have?
I climbed that in 2015, and
Nice.
Rainier is tough. That is, it's kind of tough in a different way from Orizaba because it's not as high, um, but it is long. And Rainier is at least a 2-day thing. So congratulations on at least attempting it. I encourage you to keep at it. And with Orizaba, I was taking like 2 or 3 breaths for every step at the end. I
Wow.
was just exhausted. It was just the air was just so thin, and I was so tired.
Do you think it would be easier to climb it in warmer weather versus colder weather?
The reason we did it in January is it's the dry season, and you do not want to do it when it's snowing. So it would be easier if it were a little warmer, but it's much better to do it during the dry season. So almost everyone does it between December and February. By the way, let me show you my Rainier certificate.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
That
All
is
right.
so impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So our next question comes from Chris, who says AP Play Video Poker, a casino that offers $55 of free play after playing $2,000 through the machine. The game is bonus poker with a 0.9917 return. Is my theoretical return with the free play 1.0192?
Okay, so let's see. 55 divided by 2,000 is 2.75%. And then let's add to that 0.9917. And so I'm getting, I agree exactly. So yes.
Nice. And then his next question is a follow-up. Should I stop playing a 2,000 coin in or keep playing as long as the theoretical return is above 100?
It depends how generous this casino is with the mail. Of course, I don't know that. It seems to me that this is probably a pretty generous casino, and usually the way the marketing departments work is there's various thresholds. For example, if the player does 2,000, throw 55 at them, but maybe if you played 5,000, they would throw 100 at you. And so that I just don't know. My hunch is that you should play further. But you probably know more about this casino's generosity than I do, so I will leave that one up to you.
Okay. Our next question comes from Chris, who says, I am gathering data for a random number generator online single zero roulette. I am using the Fibonacci betting progression on the first dozen. How many spins of data to have a reliable idea of 16 losses in a row?
Okay. So the probability, so there's going to be 26 losing numbers out of 38. So the probability of a losing spin is 68.4%. So the probability of 16 in a row is 1 in 433. So the chances that the next 16 spins are all losses are 1 in 433. I'm really not sure exactly what you're asking. I hope it will suffice to say that you will see this happen about once every 433 times. And if that doesn't answer your question, maybe try to rephrase it and I'll come back to it.
Good point. Our next one is from Pi. Do you envision a time when casinos adopt virtual currency in gambling or betting?
I think I've been asked that one before. I've heard there's some casinos where you can use a credit or debit card to buy chips at the table. So that's already getting into kind of like virtual currency. Most money is virtual. Only about something like 10% of it is in cash. But I think you're talking about cryptocurrency. And yeah, I could see that. I've heard that already. Well, that's a bad example. Yeah, I'll just say that my answer is yes, but I don't have any real good comments or reasons behind it.
Okay. And then isn't it Resorts World that is the first casino to actually accept credit and debit at the table?
Yeah, maybe it was there. I don't know if they were the first, but yeah, that's a good point. So anyway, let's go on to a new one.
Next one is from Technics, who says, I believe that I am correct that a higher minimum slot machines are more plus EV. Does this hold true with stadium or computer blackjack, i.e., betting more than the minimum increases your chances of winning?
Well, first of all, you're right that as you go up in denomination with slot machines, the RTP does go up as a general rule of thumb. However, this is not really true with stadium betting. There, the rules are the rules, and they're told to you right there in the rule screens. So, it could be that there's some casinos out there that maybe have two stadiums, and one is for low limit players, and one is for high, and maybe the rules in the high section are better, but probably not. I would just say that the odds in table games are quantifiable, whether they're electronic or not, and just read the rule screens to look for the good rules.
Always good advice.
Thanks.
Next is from Pro Craps, who says single versus double zero roulette layouts are different. Why are single zero players always betting the quadrants? Is the wheel set up that much differently to support this?
Yeah, I did not know that there was such a tendency, but yes, I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, frankly, my answer to this one is I don't know.
Okay. Next is, Joey says great stuff as always.
Thank you.
Let's see. NVIDIA says thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our next question is from Mauricio. Hi. For video poker, I'm trying to come up with a calculation to define an initial bankroll for single hand bonus poker with the goal of hitting as many hands as possible. Do you have any guidance?
The number of hands you can expect to play is 1 divided by the house advantage. So you mentioned single-handed bonus poker. So let's say it's 8-5 bonus poker. The return there is 0.9917. So the house advantage is 0.0083. And so you take the inverse of that. And that shows that with only one unit, you can surprisingly average 120.5 hands. Now, that may sound ridiculous because most of the time you only play one hand, you lose, and you're all done. But if you hit a royal, you're going to be playing for a long, long time, like 1 million hands, before you lose all of that. So that is the average. It's really quite simple. Now, if you're trying to come up with something like, for practical purposes, how much of a bankroll should you have? And there it gets more complicated. There I would start to I would probably, what I might do is maybe I take the royal flush out of it, because most of the time you don't see those when you're playing. So so let's subtract 2% for royals. Now we're at 0.9717. So that has a house edge of 2.83%. We take the inverse of that, and now we're at only 35 hands. So yeah, so yeah, even with just one unit, you can expect to play 35 hands. So maybe I didn't fully understand the question that you're asking, but that's I hope those comments were helpful.
Awesome. Our next question comes from JS, who says, do you have any new strategy on Ultimate Texas Hold'em?
No, the strategy I already have now is very good, and you can find it on my website and my book. So it doesn't need any improving upon. So yeah, so the answer there is no, because there does not need to be a new strategy.
Okay. Our next question comes from Chris, who says, on a single zero roulette, would 20,000 spins be a good target for data to see if it matches the mathematically calculated odds?
Yeah, 20,000 is a lot. Yeah. So I take it you're looking for a wheel with a bias. And I must say that I used to kind of poo-poo doing this, at least in the US, but I mentioned in a previous show that I'm going through Billy Walters' book, Gambler, and he talks in one chapter about how he paid people to gather data on roulette wheels all over Vegas. And he found one that, I guess not just Vegas, but he found one that was allegedly biased at the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City. And he played it hard, and he won a lot of money. And this is when Steve Wynn was in charge of that casino, and he got Steve Wynn really angry about it. And Steve Wynn had this wheel really carefully checked. So if Billy Walters believes in this and is betting millions of dollars on it, maybe I poo-pooed it a little bit too quickly. It does require, like recording a lot of data, and frankly, wheels now are made even better than they were in. Walters probably did this in the 90s, and I still am kind of skeptical that in 2024 it's a viable play in the US. But what happens with a lot of gaming equipment after it's worn out here in Las Vegas? Lots of times it gets handed down to lower and lower casinos, but a lot of it gets sold to countries in other places. For example, when I worked at the Venetian, there was an enormous room full of slot machines they were getting rid of, and I asked who's going to buy them, and it was some casino or group of casinos in Argentina. So and speaking of Argentina and roulette, when I went to Argentina, roulette is the hot game there. So that's where probably I would look for a more biased wheel. But then again, I think that a gringo just can't go to Argentina and start betting huge amounts of money, especially on a sector, without drawing a lot of attention. So yeah, there's all kinds of, I could talk about this for a long time, but that is about all I have to say quickly on this one.
I know with roulette wheels, they worry about getting a groove. If the wheels have to be turned every so often, like that's part of the maintenance, is you have to turn the wheels. And if you don't turn the wheels, it gets a groove, and you can get a bias from that. Like, so I know part of the being a casino operator, you do have to take good care of your roulette wheels in order to keep that from happening.
Okay.
Next is from Lil, who says, I really enjoyed the sim videos for different systems. I think you should do more, even if it's a system you've done before, but mixing it up rather it's a different game or different variation.
Yeah, thank you. I like doing those videos too. And if you want to suggest a system, by all means do so. We still have 10 minutes left. And I'm overdue to do one of those, but I kind of have run out of systems that I know about. I would love if anyone has a system that they actually paid for and it's something in writing I could look at. Yeah, throw anything at me. I like doing those. And I just remembered that I wanted to do a magic trick for you guys.
Before we start the magic trick, how would people go about sending that to you?
You still have 10 minutes. You can send it right now. But if you run out of time, the best way to reach me is you can go to wizardofodds.com and click on Contact Us. And then just, I don't know, just use whatever choice you think is the most appropriate, and it will get to me. Or if you're a Wizard of Vegas member, send me a private message, and that'll get to me directly. And I tend to like the private messages more. Okay, so this trick is going to start out with me making a prediction, and let me do this off camera here. I'm going to write it on the floor. Okay. Okay, let's put the prediction here under the keyboard. Okay. So I've got here some cards. So normally in person, I might hand these to you, Heather, and say, take these in your hand and put them behind your back. And then I would say, pick a number between 1 and 12. So Heather, you just tell me to pick a number between 1 and 12.
Do I tell you the number? Or
yeah,
do
tell
I
me a number between 1 and 12.
Do I keep this in my head or do I tell you?
No, verbally tell me.
Okay, 8.
So then I would say, okay, peel off 8 cards. And
Okay.
I'll just do that. Normally, you would do this behind your back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's put those to the side. And then I would say, okay, hand these back to me, which you do. So here's the rest of the cards. And then I'm going to display them in a clock formation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, okay, I kind of described this a little bit incorrectly because there's nobody here to do it on. But here's how it would actually go down. Is Heather, you have the cards behind your back. I say, pick a number between 1 and 12. Then I would say, don't tell me your number, but peel off that many cards from the top. Then you would peel off, you said 5, right? Or what
8.
did you say? 8? So you said 8. So then you would peel off 8. You hand me the rest. So I don't need to know how many you peeled off. Then I make this circle. Then I ask you, Heather, how many did you peel off?
8. Okay,
so here we go. There's 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's turn over the card at 8 o'clock. And it's the 6 of diamonds. So now let's have a look at my prediction. And it says, you will pick a red card. So you might say, oh, big deal. Half of the cards are red. But watch. All the other cards are black, including the leftover cards and the cards in your hand.
No way.
So there you go. It works every time. And now let me explain how to do it. This trick is very mathematical. First make your prediction. If it's going to say you will pick a red card, then what you do is you get out 24 black cards, and then you divide them into two groups of 12. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then you put in the red card right in the middle, and then the other 12. And then it's ready to go. And then, so the person takes the cards, pulls them off, hands you the rest. Now here is the key thing. When you're putting down the cards in the circle, start at 12 and then go counterclockwise. If you go clockwise, it will not work. Yeah, so here's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so let's see how many I just randomly peeled off. I randomly peeled off 6. So then you go to the 6 o'clock card, which should be this one, and this card should be red. There we go. And I don't have time to explain why it works, but it's just very mathematical. So remember, it's 24 of the other color. Put the red card in the middle, and when you put them down, start at the 12 o'clock position and go counterclockwise.
That's
and
amazing.
It's your magic trick for the day.
That is so amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pigeon says, I have no idea how I stumbled upon this, but hi. Hello, Pigeon. Good to see you. Do you want to do any more questions for the day, or do you want to figure out the next time we're doing this?
Okay. Yeah. Are there any really good questions waiting for me?
I'm looking. We only have a few more questions left.
Let's do real quick answers on the remaining questions.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hit me.
Do you ever use Monte Carlo simulations when analyzing casino games?
Rarely, but sometimes I do. I like to avoid it wherever I can. Is I find a pure closed form solution so much more intellectually satisfying. But sometimes, like say it's a casino bonus round, a slot machine bonus round, sometimes you just have to. Like when I design a slot machine, and if someone were to want to do something like the lightning link bonus, there you almost just have to do a simulation because it would just be so complicated otherwise. Okay, next question.
Next question is from Pi, who says, I am bombarded with cruise offers from MGM, which have casinos on the ships. Is it fair to say the odds are stacked worse than they would be on a land-based casino?
The slots on cruise ships are really stingy. Also, a thing to look out for is they tend to reset all the progressive games between cruises. But the table game rules are actually pretty good. So I would say that the tables are a little better than the land casinos, but the slots and all the machines are worse.
Okay. Mauricio says, this has been very helpful for sure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Grazie.
And then the next question is, if your goal was to rank up points on the rewards program for a casino with the smallest risk variance, which game would you choose?
That's a good question. One thing you could do is if you find somebody else who wants to do this, is you could go to some kind of stadium game and bet opposites, like in roulette. However, roulette has a high house advantage, so maybe baccarat, or one of you bets on the banker and one on the player. However, let's say you don't have that. You're not allowed to bet on opposites in games like this. However, again, in roulette, there's ways to kind of fool the machine where you kind of group your bets in different kind of ways. Like if you just do red, black, it's probably going to catch that. But if you do red and then all the individual black numbers, it might not. So But again, be careful with roulette as it has a higher house advantage. Yeah, it really depends where you put your emphasis between the risk and the reward. If yeah, it seems like you're trying to minimize the risk. So in that case, I like blackjack, but again, the house edge there is rather low, so it may take more play to impress the casinos. And I could say the same thing about video poker. Here's a good one for you: Ultimate Texas Hold'em. So casinos have a tendency to rate that game better than they should, and the element of risk in that game is a nice low 0.5%. So I'm going to go with Ultimate Texas Hold'em as my bottom line answer.
Okay.
So let's end the show with that one.
Okay.
Okay. So today's January 18th. How about February the 8th?
Sounds good. So we will do this again on February the 8th. If we didn't answer your question, please come back and ask it again. Pi says, good job. Thank you for sharing your time and your thoughts. And Mauricio says, I love the advice. I love that game. We'll report the results on the next show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, awesome. And Jason says, love the show. Thank you for all the info.
Yep, thank you.
Cool. Well, I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks, audience, for coming, and I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Sounds good. See you in 3 weeks. Have a good one, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.